Welcome back to the Blast channel. All blast, all day. Blastity blast, 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 blast. No, but seriously, we do have some new info on Blast, and it's important. It develops him as a character, as well as strengthens future prospects of the story. But, we're talking about Blast, so that means we're going past manga stuff. Way deep into webcomic spoilers. So if you don't want to know what's going to happen, I suggest you check out now. Alright, so in chapter 118 of the webcomic, which was recently released graciously by One himself, we got a big new sequence with Blast. And this was kind of a big deal because it gave us way more insight into Blast than what we originally had. Because we just thought that Blast was this forthright hero who was just entirely against codependency and anything else that kind of went into that. But now it turns out that Blast might have a dark side to him. But we're going to get into that because let me just set the foundation of this sequence. So apparently back in the day, Blast invaded the ninja village and just took out everyone in it. And this information is relayed to us by none other than Sonic, which is a big surprise in itself because of all the characters in the series, Sonic is one of the very few who's actually seen Blast and seen him actually get his hands dirty. And this also reveals that Sonic has been resentful of Heroes this whole entire time because of Blast and what he did to the Ninja Village. So that's really interesting to me because since we see him from day one, we kind of just see him as this goofy, powerful, jaded individual, but apparently it all stems from none other than Blast himself. I just love the way that this story all interconnects with each other and just the unexpected relationships that come out of things once you go deeper into the history and the extended lore. So first, let's go into the timeline of all of this stuff happening. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to address what I think is a translation issue. Now, also, this maybe is not an issue. Maybe it is what is on the page, and sometimes mistakes happen. But that doesn't mean I have a problem with the translation in general. I have great respect for HDX 514 and Vib and everyone else who goes into making these chapter translations possible. Without them, we are basically in the dark about all this stuff, and they are essential to the community. So let me just put it out there. I love those guys. I am extremely thankful for everything that they do. But I think that we have an issue here because Sonic says that Blast attacked the Ninja Village on the eve of Flashy Flash's incident. And eve typically means the day before, and I really think that conflicts with everything, especially the quote-unquote incident. So let me just explain what that is for those of you who are unaware or just need a refresher. So on the day of Flashy Flash and Sonic's graduation, Flashy Flash just slaughtered everyone. He says he killed the instructors, the staff, other members of his graduating class, and anyone who had anything to do with this facility. But he poisoned Sonic beforehand as to spare him from all of that stuff. So that would mean that if this happened before that, then Flashy Flash would have been there when Blast attacked, and everyone else would have been there too, and it just doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm thinking that Blast probably attacked after this happened rather than before. And it also makes more sense because Sonic further says it was Blast who attacked the Ninja Village, going through rapid decline in battle prowess. So the rapid decline is obviously because Flashy Flash slaughtered anyone who was even remotely formidable there. And that's why we see that there's only orphans left. And then also explains that Flashy Flash did in fact not kill all of the younger trainees there. Because first of all, he's not a psychopath. But it also goes into Flashy Flash's main motivation for taking everyone else out. Because it was part of what Sonic told him, when they were around the fire. He says, what he wants to do is essentially destroy the organization so that orphans like them can grow up more freely. So it just wouldn't make sense for him to take out the orphans in the process since they're basically doing it for them. And this also gives us somewhat of a timeline for when all of this stuff went down, because it's heavily implied that Flashy Flash slaughtered everyone when he was 16 years old. And the data book states that Flashy Flash is currently 25. So I guess that means this all happened 9 years from the current time in the story, which is interesting as well because it's also stated that Blast defeated the Ninja Village leader 15 years before the current time in the story, and you would think that, oh, well, after defeating the ninja leader, then he just went on to slaughter everyone else. But no, that's not the case. It happened actually 6 years after that point. So why did he wait that long? Well, we don't know, but I can assume that either Blast specifically waited until the class was going to graduate to take them all out, because that also goes into what Sonic says when it's like someone else who wanted to attack and destroy us on the day of the graduation exam showed up. So that might be implying that it was premeditated by Blast, which I don't understand why he had to wait, because he could have just taken them out at any point. But also it could mean that maybe Blast just wasn't aware of the location of the Ninja Village until 6 years after he took out the ninja leader or something like that. But regardless, that is obviously Blast's main motivation for coming to the Ninja Village and taking everyone else out, because of his encounter with the ninja leader. And one way or another, he just discovered that, oh, hey, you have an entire village of all of these dudes that you're training. Well, I guess I need to go to the root cause and take everyone else out, so there's no more people like you or even people affiliated to you. Just less crazy ninja assassins in the world, the better. So even though it was stated that Blast does hero stuff as a hobby, I guess in a way he was still kind of moderating the world, despite, not kind of being that serious about it. But also, let's go into Blast taking everyone else out, because this is like the whole big development on Blast's character, something that we weren't aware of before, and leads me to believe that maybe he has a dark side to him. So in my review, I said that Blast just straight up killed all of these orphans, and just let me state that it never explicitly says that he kills or murders them, but damn, is it heavily implied that he does? Because there's dialogue and there's some visual imagery that we'll go into, because first of all, Sonic says he wanted to destroy them, and destroy, probably doesn't mean beat them up, teach them a lesson, and maybe arrest them. It probably means kill. And also the way that he says he did not spare any of us orphans. And then if you look closely in the panel of the ninja trainees attacking Blast, it's just covered in blood splatter. So I think that means that Blast just straight up took out these kids. And in my review, I also said younglings, because it reminded me of what Anakin did in episode 3. And I've seen that quite a few people from the community kind of drew that parallel as well, because it is similar, both in the sequence and the motivations as well. So I guess this means that Blast is one of those absolute justice type characters, like Amai Mask is kind of, and if you're familiar with One Piece, the Fleet Admiral Akainu is. They'll just basically do anything in order to get the job done for what they see as being a good guy or something like that. It's just absolute pragmatism to any point, even killing kids and things like that is something that they'll do in order for what they consider to be the greater good. Now, also, somewhat of a justification here for why he did it is because they're kind of beyond saving. I mean, even Sonic himself says it, that if any of them managed to escape, there still wouldn't be much of a life left, because they're already been trained since they were kids. Some of them were born there like Sonic, and they just don't really have anything else to go back to. They've been institutionalized by this life of ninja training and everything, and they're basically forced socio or psychopaths in a way. So even if he did not kill them and took them to another orphanage or something else, you wouldn't be able to really correct their behavior. They'd just always be killers. So I guess he was just okay, I might as well just put them down. So this could ultimately mean that Blast might be somewhat of a villain in the future of the story, because I originally thought that maybe he was just going to be the hero, he was a good guy, and maybe he was just going after whatever issue that he was tackling. Just hypothetically, it could be him fighting Saitama because he felt he was too powerful. But he was still just inherently a good character through and through. Not even truly a villain, just more so an adversary or just a foil in the story. But with this development, Blast might be the lawful evil villain that we get in the future of the story. Meaning that multiple heroes might try to take him on, and This might also be setting up that Sonic might be a part of the whole plot line to take down Blast or something, because obviously he has a connection to him. This is Sonic's main motivation to be resentful against Heroes in the first place, and this ultimately might be a better reason for Saitama to eventually fight Blast, because it's establishing that he could potentially... straight up be not a good guy, and instead of it being Blast going after Saitama, it might be Saitama going after Blast. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this. Is Blast lawful evil? Is he going to be a villain in the future of the story? So let me know in the comments, and if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A. I now have memberships on the channel, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.